What is up, and welcome to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio. I'm Scott, and we got Shane and Paris in the house. Welcome to the show. Today is brought to you. I almost wanted to do like Sesame Street. Today's show is brought to you by the letter G, the number 3, and no, it's not. We want to remind you, if you're prepared-minded, you're going to love this show. We're going to poke fun at ourselves as preppers. But in poking fun, we also want to help you get better prepared. So to remind you that you can get 10% off site-wide at our good friends over at survivalfrog.com. You can fill up all your stockings with cool survival gear this Christmas or any time of the year. You know what? Ditch the stocking and put 2 extra pairs of wool socks and hang from the little, you're probably going to need to get bigger hooks, hang from the fireplace bug out bags. You can fit more stuff in there. And then you're ready to go. I don't know where I'm going with this, but we're going to poke fun at prepping tonight in a fun, different way. I was thinking about this all week, and one of the thoughts that came was this. The thing about prepping is, in the mainstream, it doesn't look cool. People don't perceive it as fun. They don't perceive it as a good time, but we're not out there at the club. We're not out there, but we might be stockpiling on alcohol and other essentials. We're not out there, raving it up, but we got a year supply of glow sticks. We may not be chilling at the Starbucks, winking at the barista, picking up our coffee, but we are stockpiling beans, bullets, and Band-Aids.
Speaking of that, one of the funny things I thought of was, you're a prepper if you have 46,843 Band-Aids in a plain fabric, latex-free, extra-large Toy Story, Scooby-Doo, and Dora themes. You might be a prepper.
Our house, it's Bluey themed. If I have all this stuff, and my kids won't let me use a Band-Aid unless it's Bluey.
Oh, dang.
I want a Bluey Band-Aid.
So now you have to get a bunch. Now you have to restack or start your rotation with Blueys.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It's a
Bluey is a kids show that's actually, I think it's one of the smartest cartoons I've ever seen. It plays on a whole bunch of different levels. It's very clever. It's very clean.
Bluey?
Bluey.
Not Blue's Clues. Blue's Clues is from my kid's day.
So this one's about a family of healer dogs. And they live in Australia. I think in Kingsland, or I don't know, Queensland, I don't know where they are. But they're pretty awesome. And they play a lot of games. They're very clever, very creative. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're preppers. The wife's dad lives in the outback, and he can do anything. He can do trapping, fishing, wrestling crocodiles. Like he's awesome. But it's funny because you're a prepper if you compare every show to prepping.
Mm-hmm.
Or what can I learn regarding prepping from the show? Like A-Team, so many tricks, right? MacGyver, so many things I can learn for prepping. You name it. But shows that don't interest me, love shows and all that other weird stuff. What's funny is the TV show Survivor has nothing to do with real training for survival. But the original pitch of that show was 100% about a survival training television show. And it turned into a game show. It's the weirdest thing.
I've never seen a single episode.
My wife loves it, and so I've watched it from time to time. I do like the fire starting challenge that they do. I'm like, okay, this is good. And then race to see who can burn a string above a fire the fastest, and it raises a flag. Well, anyways, I digress. Let's jump into it. I want to hear some of the weird things that you think about when you think about prepping.
Well, here's my sad one.
Some of the funny things.
Here's my sad one. You might be a prepper if no one talks to you at Christmas parties.
That kind of counts at all.
Or if you're avoided at holiday parties.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you understand why, right? Because what else do I have to talk about, right? I'm not going to talk about this games that's on TV, for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to be talking about, the
sports show,
the latest sports, or the car someone just bought or whatever. I'm like, I just find that all very ridiculous and a waste of time. Like, okay, let me tell you what's going on around the world. That's what I want to talk about, right?
Let me get into gold and silver.
That's right. Let me tell you why. Why the dollar's going to collapse. Let me try and scare the crap out of you. No, I've learned over many years how to read people so that when they start to glaze over, that's when I can back off. I'm pretty good at it, but I still get avoided for the most part. Like, hey, Shane, here, give a hug. Okay, I'm going to go talk with these other guys about this game that's on TV, right?
So there's a new movie out on Netflix called Leo. It's an Adam Sandler movie, and he's an iguana. And one of the kids in the class, so he's a classroom pet, and he ends up helping all these kids with their problems over the years, and he can talk. So that's the whole premise of it, right? One of these kids, all they do all the time is she just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and never takes a breath. And everyone has like this glazed over look. Or like the best is like she's like the school bus driver's like you can tell she's been talking too long when that pulls that face. And I thought of that as soon as you started talking about the glazed eyes look. We talk about prepping so much that people do that to us. They get the glazed eyes. They get the look. You got to be watching our YouTube to see what I'm doing. But like they start looking frantically for a way out of the conversation. And I've experienced that so many times. It's sad, but it's also very funny because sometimes I'll do that intentionally just to see somebody squirm.
Well, you know which people are going to say, "Hey, I'm coming to your place." Right. You know, those are the people you put on your naughty list or whatever you want to call it. Like, you're not coming to my place list, right?
Well, I've always told people when I was doing PrepperCon, people would ask me all the time, "Oh man, well if things go sideways, I can come to your house, right? I can come to your house, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm prepping for you. I've got 2 9mm just in case." And I'll let you figure out what that means. But they'd be like, "Give me this big," I'd look and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "This is for me. I'll teach you how to do it so you can get ready. But my goal is so that you never have to come to my house.
Mm-hmm.
That you'll be able to stay where you are, and you'll be prepped and ready to go. And you'll be like, oh, disaster, no problem." But yeah, non-preppers are like, "Oh, well, it's going to be a free for all at your house." No, it's not. No, if you do make it to my house somehow, I'm going to put you to work, and you're going to have to work twice as hard as everybody else to get anything. Because this is my retirement. This is my end of days plan. Like, people are weird. People are crazy. So, you're a prepper if your Amazon wish lists are all broken down by disaster types.
That's a good one. I think another, you're a prepper if acronyms like Bob, Teotihuacan, and SHTF make sense to you. Those are so like if you say Teotihuacan to anybody who's not in the prepper world, they'll be like,
"Is that the Native American language? What is that?"
What did you just say?
And for those of you who are new to this, Bob is bug out bag. Teotihuacan is the end of the world as we know it. And SHTF is poop hitting the fan.
Yes, translated
is the
poop
sound it
into
makes.
a PG version.
Right? Oh, prepping is fun. It's funny, and what's crazy is like it is the smartest thing you can be doing in life right now. If you're not already prepping, you're in big trouble.
Another thing too is you're a prepper if you're not worried about the shelves being raided at the store in a big storm.
Right?
Like,
it's after the storm discount deals that you get excited about because you're like, oh, I can resupply.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else is running out. Like you're a prepper if you go into your basement and it looks like a grocery store.
Yep.
Right. You're a prepper if you've got a backup knife for your backup knife's backup knife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might be a prepper if you have both a flashlight in one pocket and a pocket knife in the other pocket every day.
Yep.
You might be a prepper if you've got a tactical light strapped to your pocket knife.
Hey,
I don't even know that.
You might be a prepper if your everyday carry light is when you use it, someone says it's too small, so you go to your truck to get a bigger one. You have a bigger light.
Oh, I do.
Be a prepper if you had a serious conversation about which bugs give you the most nutrients.
Oh, dude, yeah, that one is. I was just like, when we get to the point, and that's what, okay, so I get it. I get it that preppers would have that because we would know, but I'm kind of concerned about that as well right now because a lot of these elites are trying to turn everybody over to bug proteins, and that's weird. So it's like,
well, no, that's weird to the U.S. market and the Canadian market. Other parts of the world are still eating bugs in a lot of different ways.
yeah, that's, I suppose that's
We're
true.
the ones that are like, we'll push our nose up to it and like, oh, we're too good for that. Oh, I'm so high class. I go to Taco Bell. Like,
Taco Bell's not that high
Taco
class.
Bell. Yeah, you know you're a prepper if you know that Taco Bell's meat's been freeze dried.
Or that, or you know you're a prepper if Taco Bell is like going out to a fancy restaurant.
Yeah. So I had a friend who did a post like a year ago about Taco Bell's meat, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what is this? It's not even real meat. Like it." Well, no, it's freeze dried meat. Like they showed the bag of like what it is before it gets you throw it in the water and everything. They're like, "What is this? Why?" They're like it's this chemical thing that turns into meat. And I'm like, "No, it's freeze dried. That way they can store it indefinitely and stack it full in every Taco Bell." I guess apparently Taco Bell, PepsiCo must be prepping because if they're investing in freeze dryers for their taco meat, that's pretty awesome.
Here's what I think a little more on this serious side is you might be a prepper if you enjoy feeding your family and friends. There's just those mothers or fathers who are, hey, come in, can I make some food for you? I think if you find yourself doing that, or that person who does that, who just loves to feed you and take care of you, they just might be a prepper. That's I can see half a dozen people on my mind right now who are like that. And are they preppers? Maybe a little bit, but I think in general,
goes back to you're a prepper if you admire your grandparents' generation for their self-reliance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which goes into your favorite quote.
Yeah, look to the past, prepare for the future. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Is we appreciate the past more. You appreciate what your grandparents went through, and instead of looking down on them, I think about how my kids look at me. And how I looked at my parents and how they didn't change. And now I look at myself and how I'm not wanting to change. I want to stay in my ways and say, oh, I think I understand, what my parents, my grandparents were going through. I mean, just beginning to understand that. Right. So I think absolutely, if those who continue to follow the trends and keep up with technology, I don't agree with that. That's not me. To each his own, but I don't want to offend anybody. But there's something about sticking to the old ways of our grandparents that lends to those who are prepared.
What's funny is like I think of, as we're thinking about the show, I was thinking of like when I was a kid, I wore Tough Skins jeans, which was basically like wearing 2 pairs of jeans. Like they were just extra thick, super strong denim, like never ripped. You couldn't do a full squat in them because they were just stiff as a board. But like as an adult, as a prepper, I like sort of tactical but non-tactical looking tough, rugged, durable pants, like slim cargo pocket cargo pants. 511 is my favorite, but like you're a prepper if you really appreciate tactical pants and pockets, so that you can fit all your EDC stuff in it.
Yep.
When nowadays, everyone buys their jeans already distressed, right? And just think about when I was a kid, when I got holes, my mom put patches on those holes, right? Those iron-on patches, and now you buy them that way and don't put patches on them. So you might be a prepper if you've got patches on your jeans. I don't know.
No, that's true. That's the same mindset. Similar.
Yeah.
This is kind of a funny one. When you might be a prepper if your wife says, "Are you really wearing that out?" and she's not talking about your clothes, because maybe you're wearing a gas mask or something else, or some kind of EDC is too visible.
Get your rifle slung over your shoulder.
Yeah, seriously. Nowadays,
you might be a prepper if you are moving to a homestead. Or you might be a prepper if you're learning to make your own soap.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might be a prepper if you're practicing making your own butter.
Mm-hmm.
We did that a few weeks ago. It was awesome. And that butter's delicious. And then you have buttermilk left over, which is great for making pancakes or just drinking. I drank half of it. I was like, this is delicious.
Another one that's really kind of goes along with what Shane has shared several times. You might be a prepper if you're looking forward to the zombie apocalypse.
I think that's where you say, you're a prepper if you're looking forward.
Because there's a lot of people that are scared about the end of the world, and preppers are like, no way, man, I'm looking forward to that thing.
Well, I think the part about that is, preppers, and I think we're overusing the word. I don't, I've talked about this before. I'm becoming less of a fan of the word prepper, right? Mm-hmm. But as you become more of a prepper, your eyes are more open, and you see all the crap that's going on. You want it to end. You want some relief from the bondage. I mean, this is a big topic. I'm not going to get into it, and then that is why you want the zombie apocalypse or something to come to shut down the system, to start over. I want a hard reset on this system.
Yeah,
that's what, and so when people think of preppers as being crazy, oh, you want this to come, you want this to happen. You're darn right I do. Do you understand why? Obviously not, right? Because they don't see it.
Most people have no clue.
They don't see it. So I guess we could say, you might be a prepper if every day you live in constant amazement of what's going on around the world. I do. It seems like every news item that pops up, like, I think for a lot of people, it already has become regular news. Oh, this is the new norm. But if you orient yourself toward the past, you can see that these things are not normal. This is not, and realize the chaotic state the world is in already, and it's going to get worse, but that's definitely, I think, you're a prepper if you watch the news and you're just blown away every day.
Speaking of that, another one, you might be a prepper if you're super excited that Alex Jones just got reinstated back on Twitter.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, absolutely.
I was listening to his interview with Tucker Carlson, which was really pretty good, actually. And he mentioned that, he says, my grandpa, he said something along the lines of, my grandpa could do stuff and fix stuff that, I don't even know how to do anymore, and forget the next generation. And that was really, I thought that was really insightful, because that's so true. Like we talk about all the time on the shows, that so many of those skills, so many of those being able to recognize, and Scott, you're going to have to help me out with this saying, because I always mess it up, but wear it out, use it up,
wear it out,
do it. You say it.
Make it do, or do without.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
the motto of the Great Depression. And it's funny because, like, you sing it, like we literally sing it. There's certain things that like trigger me. So like, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without.
Yeah, love that.
But like, it's funny because like the kids were watching a show the other day. It was the Disney, the one with the giant, and he's like fee fi fo fum.
Mm-hmm.
He's like fee fi, and he sings the song fee fi fo fum, fi fi fee fo. All I could think of in my head was first in, first out. FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, first in, first out, first. I'm like, you're a prepper if like all the prepping things come to mind and like you put them to song
while you're listening to your kids TV shows, right?
I'm like, I just started laughing. I'm like, I'm such a prepper. And I agree. Prepping is kind of getting to be not the right word for what we all are.
Yeah, got to figure something else out.
Right.
Well, I think like, survivalist is maybe a little more like it, but still not quite. Wouldn't describe me very well.
What's funny is it still has too much of a negative connotation. Yeah. Right? Doom, and you're a prepper if you think the Doomsday Prepper guys didn't have enough stuff from the TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's like you get to the gear and you get to the stuff, and then after that you get to the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding, and then you get to, I want a better quality of life. And I think that's where we're all at right now. is we're desiring for that simpler quality, higher grade life.
Yeah.
And it's like, instead of buying knickknacks and junk, we save up and buy really good things, really good tools.
Yeah, and I think another part of that is you might be a prepper if you enjoy hard work, right?
Mm.
That's something I've mentioned a lot is I prefer, wouldn't say I prefer the hard way, but I'm not afraid of hard work. And it seems like when you talk about wanting a better life, a simpler life, an easier life, it may be physically harder, but mentally easier. We look at everything nowadays being created technology-wise to provide a better quality of life, or whatever they might claim, right? Oh, this will make your life simpler. This is easier. This is a simpler way to do it. This is automated. Who cares? That's my mentality. What do you benefit other than just leisure and luxury? That's for me. That's no life to live. I don't. And maybe I've just gotten used to working hard for a lot of years and enjoying it, honestly, and becoming to enjoy it, which as a child, as a kid, like, I got to go do your chores before you can play. Like, oh man, you just didn't want to do it. And I get it. I understand. I see that in my kids as well. I'm like, okay, how can I help you to understand that the hard is the enjoyable part? Like these guys that go climb Everest, they climb these big mountains, and these 8,000-meter peaks, and they'll say, "Oh, Everest is too easy. It's too easy. I want something harder, more challenging." So they go for K2 and they get themselves killed. That's another story. But I mean, it's really mentality, state of mind of what kind of life you want for yourself. If you want ease and luxury, okay, at the end of your life, you might realize, where'd my life go? What'd I do with my life? But if you like, you look at a farmer, you look at like your grandparents, what did their hands look like? They were worked, they were calloused. You could tell they had worked their entire life with their hands. And that to me is a great symbol of a great life.
Oh yeah.
That's
the kind of life that you don't need a vacation from.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not longing for an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, like the 9 to 5, that's one of the things, like every prepper I talk to, they hate the 9 to 5. They hate having to go have a job because they'd rather just spend their time doing prepping stuff and living off grid and living sustainably, which is funny because it's like sustainably the way a prepper lives and a homesteader lives is different than what everyone talks about in the mainstream. Like, oh, you got to have a windmill and you got to have solar panels and you got to have, renewable energy and you got to get rid of cow farts, like all this weird stuff matters less and less.
Yeah. Here's another one. You might be a prepper if when you first enter a room, you're automatically looking for where all the exits are. And then that's situational awareness, just being aware of what's going on around you, especially today. Boy, oh boy, do we need to know what's happening around us, because we could get snuck up on. If we're not paying attention, we're looking at our phone, walking down the road, we can get attacked. We can get jumped. We could get
just get run over if you're not paying attention.
Over. Yeah, shoot, forget. Yeah, anything nefarious, just trip and fall into I've seen those videos where the guy falls into a manhole or something because he wasn't paying attention, or walks through a wet cement because they weren't paying attention. And so there's a lot of things like that are important. And here, another one here that we talk about all the time is you might be a prepper if you have at least 2 of everything, because 2 is 1 and 1 is none. That's legit.
Yeah, I'm definitely cursed with that. It's we talk about minimalism or simplifying, and that's just impossible to do as a prepper, because 1 is none and 2 is 1, but 3 is even better.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 50 different holsters, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or a holster for every occasion, right?
Like
I'm a member of the Holster of the Month Club.
You're a prepper that's
if you have a case full of different holsters.
You're a prepper
every occasion.
Or you're a wannabe prepper if you're subscribed to BattleBox.
There we go. That's a good one.
Right?
I would maybe call those wannabes, because I would never do a subscription club like that ever.
It's fun. It's not practical. No. And that's why as a prepper, I'm like, I won't promote it. I've gotten a box before just to see what it was.
If you're starting up, if you're new and you want to start collecting some stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to go.
But long term, like you just don't see the value in it after a little while because you're like, I don't need this. I don't want that. I don't need,
I've got a dozen of these, and yeah.
Right. Or you just start seeing it as redundant things that like redundant multi-tools. And you're just like,
wasteful, a lot of wasteful things in there that, maybe I wouldn't endorse, that I don't use, that I don't care for. And like, what am I going to do with this? It's you end up giving it away, which is fine. If that's what you're going to do. And I tend to do that a lot. I get something and I use it. Like, this is not exactly what I expected it to be. I switched to something else and I have this laying around and I know I'm never going to use it. I'll give it away, help someone else get prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, it's not a terrible strategy, but definitely not efficient way to learn or spend your money, for darn sure.
So here's one. You might be a prepper if you actually enjoyed the lockdown because you got to test all your preps.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or you might be a prepper if you iron more Mylar bags than actual clothing.
Yeah, you're sealing up your food. Absolutely. That's legit.
I remember I was Mylar bagging so much stuff 2 years ago. Actually 3 years ago now. We bought restaurant foods. We bought all this stuff from our restaurant outlet, and it was dirt cheap. So we like stocked up on beans and rice and wheat and oats and seasonings and oh my gosh, so much stuff. And I'm like moving it from the containers. It all came into Mylar bags, and I did more ironing in those 2 weeks than I have on clothes in the last probably 2 years. Like, and it was all Mylar bag. It was amazing. Mylar bag after Mylar bag after Mylar bag. Just iron and iron. And it was, I don't want to iron anymore because of that.
You might be a prepper if you prefer classic cars, older vehicles. That's not always the case with me, but I would love a carbureted vehicle. I don't have one other than my motorcycle, right? But again, kind of looking to the past, maybe not so far in the past, only looking to the 70s or early 80s or so, right? I don't know if I would look any further for a bug out vehicle, unless it's a deuce and a half or something, some old military vehicle, but not very efficient in a lot of ways. But
what's funny is like you look for carbureted vehicles all the time as a prepper, right? Or old diesels, right? Pre-def. And it's funny because like I look at that stuff all the time, and I look at it so much that you might be a prepper if all of your social media feeds are water containers, used food storage containers, and old vehicles. Oh, and specials from Fort Patriots and all the other freeze-dried food storage companies. That's all I see in my advertising anymore.
Post-apocalyptic wardrobes.
Right. That's my news feed is pretty much 24/7 feed of prepping paraphernalia.
I was gonna say, speaking of wardrobes, you're a prepper if half of your wardrobe is camo. There's a lot of preppers that are like that. I'm not. I like my regular colors, but yeah.
I kind of went more grayscales on everything.
Shane, you're on mute, Shane.
Your mic's off.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I kind of disagree with the camo thing. If you're in an urban area, camo will make you stick out, right? But yeah, like you're saying, Scott, grays and blacks and muted colors.
Yeah. Bright colored t-shirts don't happen anymore. I rarely have a bright colored t-shirt. It's usually gray, black, or an off blue.
I like my flannels. My flannels are comfortable.
Hey, you might be a prepper if all you wear is flannels.
Yeah.
I'm wearing flannel. I got flannel on. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Well, here's another one is for me, and I'm kind of taking a lot of these from me, obviously. You might be a prepper if you just want to be left alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's just other people or your government or whomever, right? Just leave me alone.
Politically wise, I don't know a single libertarian that hasn't gotten into prepping.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Their whole lifestyle is, I want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like every one of them, it's a gateway to prepping. I'm not saying that I'm libertarian. I'm kind of a mix between constitutionalist, libertarian, and a little bit Republican. But it's funny because like everything political is just so polarizing, and then we just want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be sucked into it. We want like definitely true as a prepper. You just don't want to get sucked into it. But then you also have the responsibility of you've got to do something about it.
At some point, that's the problem with the evil that's going on, the tyrants, whether you call them evil or not, with people who desire tyranny or desire to take over. They don't care if you want to be left alone. They're going to keep bugging you and keep bugging you and keep bugging you. But I don't remember exactly how the saying goes, but watch out when the people who want to be left alone start getting involved. That's when you know that things are really going to start going down and kick off. And I think that's what, honestly, I think some of those elites, they're just poking the bear to try to get those conservatives and the preppers and the people who want to just be left alone to finally lash out and get triggered and be trolled, as they say. And we gotta fight as long as we can to keep the program going. But at some point, they might get what they have deserved coming for them, as they say.
Yeah. So you might be a prepper if you're using the winter to plan your gardens for next year.
That's good. Yeah, the downtime.
Mm-hmm. Or you might be a prepper if you collect beef fat to render into tallow to then create candles.
I'm not that advanced.
I'm not there yet, but that's on the list. You might be a prepper if you rotate water and know what that means.
Here's another one. You might be a prepper if when you hear something on the news, your first instinct is to not believe it.
Absolutely.
Oh, or here's another one. You might be a prepper if 911 is not part of your home security plan because you're going to take care of yourself.
Amen to that.
Absolutely. That's funny. Oh, yeah, I know. There's probably more people that can handle that by the time the first responders get there, everything is handled.
Yeah. Graves already dug and bodies half buried.
So do you guys remember it was the James and Younger gang? There was a movie that came out a while ago about the Jesse James and the Younger gang. And it was funny because the Pinkertons and the guy that's representing the railroad, they're coming to take away to buy the land, and they're confronting Jesse and his brother and their mom, and they're like, we want to take, we'll give you this great deal. It's only good for today. And then they like kind of step up and the boys pull out their guns and they're like, you sure you want to do that? You want to think about it? And the mom's like, well, hold on. Let me talk to God about it. She pauses for a second. She comes back and she goes, God says we can bury him in the backyard. And that totally fits. It's 100% self-reliant. You don't need to call 911. You post your signs, no trespassing. You take care of business. You stay awake. You stay alert. But like that got me thinking about all the different things. It's like, as a prepper, everything I watch in movies and everything I read, I'm looking at like, how does this apply to a better quality of life for me? What can I learn from what I just read? Otherwise, it's a waste of my time. And so I spend more time reading books that are prepping related or learning about things than I do watching TV. Like I don't even know what popular shows are on right now. I don't remember. I haven't seen. We turned off TV. Like you can stream anything you want anymore, so we turned off cable. But like, I look forward to, like when I get extra money, I look forward to going on prepper hauls, like going to the Dollar Tree store and seeing how much I can get for $10 towards preparedness. Silly little things like that, and then, you're a prepper if you do that.
Yep.
Yeah, you might be a prepper if wherever you go, you're looking for wild edibles. Right? If I go on, when I go on a walk, I mean, I probably drive my kids crazy. Oh, do you know what this plant is? Oh, do you know what this plant? Austin, what is this plant here? we've talked about this one before, and just it's for me, it's fun. I've been learning those types of things since I was a teenager, and I'm always kind of looking. I'm just looking around as I'm hiking or walking. Oh yeah, so I think that's just kind of been ingrained in me, since I was a kid. But and I think maybe part of that is always looking for fuel, looking for some good tinder. You see some good bark. Oh, I'm keeping that bark, and you stick it in your pocket, right? Yeah, and because that's the hardest part about starting a fire, right? Getting that tinder.
That's funny because I do that too. Like if I'm out hiking, like it's an ingrained habit from Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. It's like always looking for some good tinder. I don't care about the firewood as much. If I can get a good handful of tinder stuffed in my pocket or a pocket in my backpack, I do that too. I'm guilty.
Yeah,
100% guilty.
So you might be a prepper if you take up archery and you tell your friends it's for fun, but it's actually so you can have an alternate form of self-defense, or you can hunt to feed your family when the crap hits the fan.
You might be a prepper if you know what a go girl is.
And you should be a male prepper and know that too for your female prepper friends.
Yep, that's right. Get your wife one, and your daughters. Yep. Get them each their own. Don't get them one to share.
Oh, that'd be gross.
Well, let's see here. What else?
You might be a prepper if your checklists have dates of when you last checked everything on the list. Like your kits, your bug out bags, your cars. I check those every 6 months. And I update it. And so you might be a prepper if you do those types of things. Yep. You might be a prepper if you have a tire patch kit in your car. I think one of my, I don't know, it's not really funny, but one of my favorite things to do is you might be a prepper if you look for creative ways to use your food storage on the day-to-day. Like, yeah,
absolutely. I agree with that one.
Like I've made it a conscious effort this last year to start using more of my wheat. And I've started learning how to do like biscuits and gravy, which is basically 2 different ways to serve wheat, right? Like flour, a harder version and then a sauce version of flour. And then obviously throw in some gravy.
Yeah. Well, so what I've been doing, when I go to my bug out, go to my my getaway, whatever you want to call it, I have been only making the food that I have stored there. So whatever I had stored there, that's what I'm learning to prepare and eat while I'm there. So I'll be making bread, cooking rice, just the basic stuff for now, breaking out the potato flakes, those types of things. But, trying to learn that now. So when we actually have to go there, I'm ready. I'm all set up. I got all the tools and everything I might need, ingredients I need to use what I have there stored there. So
you might be a prepper if you hoard charging cables.
Guilty.
I have charging cables for things I don't know what they charge anymore, but I have it in case I come across something in the apocalypse.
Just might need it. Somebody else might need it.
Right? I think if you hoard anything, you might be a prepper.
Yeah, right? Careful with the hoarding word, right? We're stockpiling valuable things.
You might be a prepper if you're offended by the word hoard.
Yeah, well, or sensitive to the word hoarding. Maybe not offended, right? I'm sensitive.
Right. Sensitive. I'm not hoarding. It's all with a purpose.
It all has value. It's all valuable stuff, so it's not hoarding, right?
It's not like newspapers and not like kitty litter lying around everywhere. Like everything has a purpose. And
I got to be able to start the fire, dude. I use newspaper every fire I start.
But are they from like 1970? And
no,
do you have every weekly one since?
I haven't had the newspaper for over a decade, so I have some stored from back then. So
see, now you got to go, like, you got to run downtown and open up one of those City Weekly free magazine newspapers.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And grab like 5 of those and throw them in the back of your car just so you have some.
I'll have to do that because I will run out one of these days.
Go to your local thrift shops and skate shops, and you'll find usually outside of those, like your city free like listing newspapers.
Those even exist anymore? I haven't even paid attention.
Whatever happened to the thrifty nickel?
Thrifty nickel. I haven't seen one of those for years.
I haven't seen one of those in years.
Is there a 50 nickel website?
There used to be.
Huh?
We actually advertised in them for PrepperCon, but I haven't seen them since. Maybe that was we were their last client.
I think another, you're a prepper if when people ask you your name, you give them your ham radio sign instead of your name.
Yeah, hey, I'm KC7DTV. Okay. I'm like, excuse me, what?
Well,
Kilo Charlie 7 Delta Tango Victor.
No.
What?
Exactly.
What's funny is there's a video that I watched about like this kid tried to open up a bank account, and the lady asked him for his social, and he started giving all of his handles for his social medias.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lady's like, no, your social. And he's like, oh, so his Facebook. No, your social. And he's like, I don't know what you mean. And they kept talking about their handles. And all I could think of every time they said handle is the same as a call sign.
Yeah.
On your ham radio. And I'm like, I'd be in trouble too. But it's funny because that's how far diverged we are from where we were 50 years ago, right? 40 years ago, 30 years ago when we were growing up. You knew how to make change. And now if you go somewhere and hand them cash, they look at you like a deer caught in the headlights.
Mm-hmm.
What? You could just use a card. No, thank you. I don't know what to do.
That's actually a good one, dude. You know you're a prepper if you have cash in your wallet right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not afraid to use it.
Yes.
You know you're a prepper if you also carry precious metals on you, be that brass and lead or gold and silver or both.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorites because I carry silver with me all the time, and when permissible, I carry lead.
Yep.
My job doesn't allow me to, so there's parts of the day that I feel so naked and ashamed.
You're brass free.
Part of the day. It's weird, but when I can, I am.
Precious metals.
With that, I think that's a great place to end this episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and not tuning out and listening to the podcast for the prepared. This has been Prepper Talk Radio. We are radio for the ready-minded. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you hop on our email list. We've got some fun things coming up in the new year that you want to be aware of and you want to get involved with, as well as some challenges, and we are going to be doing some giveaways next year. So stay tuned because it is just going to get better if you're prepared. Have a great night.
See ya.